never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or right. You never know if you don't roll them dice. You better roll them dice. You never know if it could change your life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dungeon Master of None.
I'm Dungeon Master Matt.
I'm Dungeon Master Rob, and we have with you today two very special guests. Will you please introduce yourselves?
You!
Me? Okay.
Yes!
Hello.
Are you kidding me? Nobody cares about me.
I'm Emily Greymore, TTRPG hobgoblin extraordinaire, I think is probably what I will dub myself as a title.
It's a very good tagline. I like that.
It's good. It's very good.
I design TTRPGs, I play them, I sometimes run them, and illustrate as well. But yeah, I am all the way through the community and the space.
Hell yeah. And I am her husband.
He's just here because I said he had to be.
Right, no. Hello, everyone. My name is Patrick Perini, and I am your resident insufferable multi-hyphenate. I am a writer, storyteller, game master, podcaster, voice actor, anything that needs doing, and probably 3 or 4 other things for Emily's projects, as well as the regular GM for Unbalanced Encounters, a quite good actual play.
That's right. And that's the reason for the season. I mean, it's not the only reason for the season. We have a lot of things to talk to you about, but it is your primary claim to fame, possibly?
Yes. We've done other things, but none of them have people paying attention to them like this.
This is our most successful project, for sure. Yes.
I'm calling the right to first topic as the only non-Portlander here in this group.
Love it.
And
granted.
So here's my theory. Here's my theory is that when you move to the Pacific Northwest, if you go Seattle or Portland, you end up in one or two places, TTRPG-wise. You either end up going full-on cyberpunk, it's raining, the corporations have taken over, or you go cozier. It's raining, but you're making a cup of tea, and then you're talking to like a little spirit creature that came out of your fireplace.
Yep.
Is this correct?
I think so.
For me, the second one.
We're slamming hard into the second one, I think. That's really where we live. But that seems right.
It is still dark and rainy and dystopian here.
Yes.
And it all feels very like the cyberpunk stuff feels very close to home these days, so you kind of want to pivot away from it.
I'm here for fantasy, damn it.
Yeah, I honestly feel like the rise in cozy fantasy is because the world has become so shit. People look for escapism in the opposite of what we find ourselves in, and it just shows that people are so desperate for safe spaces right now, and they're finding it everywhere they can.
I personally, I'm deranged. I like to lean in to the misery. Like I like to get even more dystopian. I like to immerse myself in the evil of it all. But I don't blame anybody for trying to be more cozy. And I agree. I think a lot of people are looking for like an actual escape, and fantasy is good for that. But also TTRPGs are good for that. There's a lot more that are I would say oriented toward that, but are still, fun to play and still interesting and unique. It has become kind of a, oh God, forgive the pun, a cottage industry to make these sorts of things. But I think a lot of them are pretty good.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, it is kind of crazy. I was thinking about this the other day that TTRPG games and supplements that kind of slap a cozy aesthetic or cozy in the tagline are really doing numbers sales wise.
Yeah.
And I like read through one of them, and it had like a lot of cozy artwork, but it like not a lot of advice on how you inculcate a cozy atmosphere among your players as either a player or a dungeon master. I was like, I don't know if I really know how to do that. So that was my random.
Yeah, actually,
that's a good thought. It's a good thought.
This brings me to. This allows me to pivot to talking about Unbalanced Encounters. So I have many specific questions about process and inspirations and things. But why don't you just tell our listeners about the show and your pitch, and then I'll ask you some more specific things.
Sure. Emily, you want me to take this
Yeah,
one?
you are much
That
better at
feels
the
reasonable.
elevator pitch than me.
So,
For sure.
Unbalanced Encounters is we like to say that it's a very twangy actual play. We live in the space of sort of rural fantasy, and what we have a tendency to do, we play these, we play D&D, other games, as I'm sure we're going to be talking about here shortly, and we edit the absolute hell out of them, set them to a tremendous original score, and make you feel like you are in the middle of what is a sort of almost entirely improvised audio drama. And they lean into that twangy space, that sort of rustic, rural kind of energy. The stories do pretty consistently. And the first show, Rally, has heavy Princess Mononoke influences and vibes. So if you are, I'm gonna date the episode. If you're seeing the 4K reboot that's out in theaters right now,
That's fine.
This is an actual play for you. Very much the inciting action of the show, which first season it's about 80-something episodes long, so it's a pretty chunky campaign. Lot to sink your teeth into. Starts, sort of very humbly on the edge of the industrializing world as it meets the ancient forest, and we see what happens when the ancient forest starts to push back. Mm-hmm. And that is sort of the inciting action for Rally. That's, like I said, it's about 80 episodes. That show is done. That story is over. And we're pretty proud of it.
Yeah.
I have a quick question that's really it's just an aside. It's a curiosity because it's not related to what we do, but the original score, where are you a composer? Do you have a composer on hand? I love the original score, but where does it come from?
Both. We supplement with a little bit of Epidemic Sound, which is the same library that is used for a lot of actual plays, including Dimension 20. However, the original pieces come largely from our house composer, Sayer Roberts. Shout out to Sayer Roberts.
Incredibly talented man.
One of the most talented people I've ever met in my life. Casually taught himself how to be a composer over COVID. His day job is being a critically acclaimed triple threat stage performer in Canada. And so this is his side gig. And we bonded over kind of a mutual interest in musical composition. I do a little bit for the show. I supplement a little bit. But he's really the force that elevates it to something magical.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It was great. He did a really cool, there was the original theme, and then for every sort of chapter, they would have the original theme sort of threaded through, but it would have the energy and atmosphere of whatever that chapter was encapsulating at the time. So it'd be a different vibe and a different sort of energy for each chapter, and it was absolutely fantastic. It really did bring them all to life in a way I wasn't expecting. So if you're listening, Saya, love you.
It is very good. We are obviously going to recommend that you listen, listeners. But one of the things that struck me immediately as distinguishing it from other actual plays is a really nice original score and lots of atmospheric music, which I enjoyed. Your tagline is, what is it? Something like, "What if there was another D&D podcast?" Which I think is funny. It's a good joke. Unbalanced Encounters asks the question, what if there was another D&D podcast? But it is distinct. There are things that make it distinct.
Patrick has a different tagline at the beginning of every episode.
Oh, I meant to ask.
Sure,
I haven't listened to every single one.
Every episode.
But I was like, do you keep it up? Do you keep it up for every... That's good. I like that.
We are about... So we're in the process of recording the first arc of our season 2. So we are somewhere around our 95th episode. And I think... there are 3 that, for stylistic reasons, don't get the intro tag. The other 92 do.
Yep. Yeah, it's impressive. And we don't know what they're going to be as we record, and he hits them just live, and our
I don't know what they're
going to
genuinely
be like,
record.
It's great. It's great. We love it.
Okay, so this brings me to sort of, one of what I think is sort of like a key question about it. And it is... as you've mentioned, it is a podcast that is inspired at least somewhat by the works of Studio Ghibli by Princess Mononoke. That is clear from the first moment the giant boars show up, but also from the general vibes. I am interested in hearing your thoughts about that. Why that was your starting point. We're lovers of Studio Ghibli, and that's a great thing. But it is, not to jump ahead, but it is kind of in vogue at the moment in some good and bad ways. So I guess you were a little bit ahead of the curve there. But why Studio Ghibli for the origins for this?
That is, what a good question. I think the answer is we didn't think about it too hard, which is maybe not the most sort of substantial answer. But when we started this project, we really did not have a lot of expectation of it being such a long-lived thing, of it being such a sort of, listen, we're a little popular, but we didn't have any exptation of being at all popular.
No, when
right?
we first started this, what was it, 3-4 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
We had no expectations. We just wanted to make some really good memories with some good people, and we're blown away by how interested other people have been in those things too. So,
and Studio Ghibli is I think just a big artistic influence on the both of us. Emily, sort of does illustrative work, very sort of folksy style, and I'm obviously very big fan of a lot of the writing that's gone into those films, and certainly we both really enjoy the cinematography. I think it's now, with the benefit of 2-3 years of kind of looking back and being like, hey, what did that mean? And hey, like, I'm a white guy saying this is Studio Ghibli influence thing. We know that that's like a conversation at the moment, right? Where it's like there's so many companies that are sort of cosifying, to bring it back around to Matt's earlier thing, they're sort of cosifying their aesthetics, and then saying it's Studio Ghibli inspired, and to what extent is that sort of appropriation? I think it's a really great conversation. I think it's one that there's a lot of nuance to. But when we look at how Studio Ghibli influenced our show, it really wasn't the sort of iconic, sort of bacon in the pan scene from Howl's Moving Castle that everybody adheres to, where they're like, oh, Studio Ghibli is like cozy fantasy, and that's
definitely wasn't a Kiki's inspired.
It's not this sort of aesthetic surface. The influence, I think, for us runs to a little moment that I to this day I am still not 100% sure if I'm correctly attributing it to Hayao Miyazaki, but I think I am, where he says, in order to tell good stories, you have to understand pain. And that, I think, is the parts of Princess Mononoke, the parts of his films that really demonstrate what it means to go through pain and yet persist, to find reasons to live, to find reasons to seek peace, are the things that we feel very strongly matter and that are present in our storytelling. And when we look at like, oh, this is like, sort of Mononoke adjacent in like, there are giant boar and the animals are kind of crazy, right? It does run much deeper than that. It is an exploration of the far more literary and existential themes that are present in those films that I think a lot of people tend to miss when they say something is inspired by Studio Ghibli, and they kind of want to stay at that surface aesthetic.
Yeah, I was going to say, it does feel very surface level when I see a lot more, especially now it's become more, like I said, on Vogue. To say Studio Ghibli, it just seems very like the aesthetic, or the way the colors, or the way that they've animated it or drawn it or illustrated it. And that wasn't us. I remember when we were doing like a mood board of sorts for Rally, and it was I wanted Shadow of the Colossus as a really big part of this. And I don't know how much you've listened to it, but that will come into play very, very quickly. I wanted things that we had to deal with that were so much larger and bigger than anything you'd really deal with in D&D normally. And like, how do you reckon with something that you can't really hurt or damage? How do you stop nature and how do you stop a mountain from moving if it wants to, and that sort of thing? And
actually, I think that's a really interesting point, because I saw somebody, I think they might have been from it was one of the cast of 5GMs in a trench coat, I think, saying something to the effect of D&D is kind of antithetical to Studio Ghibli because the core of the game is a violence loop, right?
Yeah,
That's the way that you sort of grow and scale, and that's the power system at play. And I think that if you're thinking about doing a D&D game that is very Studio Ghibli inspired, you have to anchor yourself around non-violent means of progression. And throughout Rally, minor spoilers, I guess, the way that they deal with the mountain, the way that they deal with nature, the way that they deal with the corruption of nature is entirely non-violent, I think, all the way through to the end. There's a pivotal moment that invokes violence at the end where nothing else is sort of measured to the task.
Yeah.
But their level ups are not kill and kobold based, right? It's about how do you find a way to coexist in a harmonious way. And that is a subtlety that I think is not always easy to do in D&D. It doesn't tee you up for it nicely.
Yeah. What's the Valley of the Wind?
Oh, Nausicaa and the
Nausicaa,
Valley.
yeah,
of the-
it's very that. Like, injuring them is not the answer, right?
Yeah.
There's other ways around it. Yeah,
I picked up. I mean, that's one of my favorite Ghibli films, and that was one of the influences I was guessing at.
Yeah, very much that, for sure.
As someone who has also run a bit of a cozy themed campaign, I guess my thought is maybe sometimes you have to add some contrast to the coziness, right? Obviously, no Studio Ghibli film is just little people slicing vegetables and frying bacon, right? It's moments of it, as you mentioned, extreme pain or some kind of violence or action. And so, you need the contrast somewhere in your campaign to make the coziness feel cozy in your imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that you mentioned Shadow of the Colossus, and my guess was that the Ghibli influences were more thematic, right, than just purely aesthetic, like we've talked about, and they are deeply. It is a deeply sad body of work. It is a tragic one, right, and in like a very I don't know. There's like optimism to it, but it's a very like bittersweet. Like all of them are. Like Miyazaki is clearly like going through something in a good in a good way, in a way that benefits all of us.
The suffering of the artist, for sure.
But Shadow of the Colossus is similar, right? You're in like a shattered, fallen world. Kind of like trying to make sense of something bigger than yourself, and it's these tragic. Gigantic creatures just wandering around, and I like that. I like that sort of. Obviously, I think it's very powerful, and I'm gonna enmesh you. Matt maybe knows where I was going with this in some possible controversy, but we have talked before on this podcast about. Obojima and some other related works. And this was I don't know if you're familiar, and listeners, if you need a reminder, this is a 5e campaign setting that raised $2.5 million on Kickstarter.
$2.5 million?
$2,600,000.
I think that puts it in the top 5.
Oh my
more than $2.5 million.
Correction, 2.6.
Oh my god! And there's no error this time, sir.
From right here in Portland, Oregon, by the way.
Yeah.
Top 10 TTRPG Kickstarters of all time.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, the AI Ghibli filter's getting a lot of attention too, ain't it?
I know. I was waiting to bring up
We'll get there.
one of the most
Yeah.
one of the most awful, unpleasant, unsettling, nightmarish things I have ever had the misfortune of encountering. Anyway, the thing about Obojima, I'm not going to be too big of a hater because clearly there was an appetite for it. But this, like we were just discussing, felt a lot more like an aesthetic gloss. It felt like more like a coat of paint, and it was in this case a couple of white guys, claiming the mantle, and that's
That's what irked me the most. I was like,
that is a conversation, but it is if you're going to be the one. It is kind of it raises some questions, but I think that thematically it's a perfectly good it's a terrific starting point for a campaign, especially if you are trying to ask questions, explore things about nature, our relationship to it, do a rural campaign, as you said. One of your players has a very excellent Southern accent, or is that Craig? I think
it's either Craig or Sam. They're the ones that had the Southern accent through. So if
Yeah,
it's a masculine
Sam
voice,
or
it's
Ma-
Craig.
yeah,
okay. I wasn't able to. It was a masculine voice. I wasn't able to
It's Craig.
Yeah,
to
Craig,
to
yeah.
match it. I had everybody else pegged, but anyway.
Yeah.
Listeners, highly recommended. I'm a connoisseur, and a lot of people do them wrong. Anyway,
Where was he raised again? I can't
So
remember.
Craig's from back east. He went to school in, I believe it was North Carolina.
it was a very country lawyer voice. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
so
I would not attempt it.
that would track.
Yeah.
Millstone.
Right. So we don't have the millstone. Continue. What happens
Sure,
next?
but I mean, we just. What if we just don't have millstone?
Right. And then what happens next after not having the millstone?
So about the pod itself, we have had a few actual plays on here, and this is particularly interesting to me and I think relevant to our listeners. But one thing that we have come to believe is that picking your group is important. Picking your group is really important. So I'm wondering how you picked your group. Is how did you come to find each other? How did you decide to do this? How did you know you would get along? How do you handle problems within the group?
Yeah.
Buckle up, buckaroos. That's what I'm going to say to everyone listening.
This is Emily's soapbox.
Oh, this is exciting.
We table vibe, table dynamic, table just connection is so important, because you could want to tell the best story that there is, but if the table doesn't vibe, then you're not going to be able to tell it. So when we put it out there, like, hey, we want to do this campaign, we're going to record it, who wants in? And we had 100 applications
On our first round, it was 100.
Yeah,
applications.
we put it out on socials, and 100 people
Before the
applied.
show launched. This was all
Yeah,
spec.
this was way at the very beginning, when I had some influence on TikTok. Not anymore. And everyone said, why they wanted to be a part of it. And then we also did audio auditions. So we gave them a prompt, and they improved. Was it a minute? It had to be up to 2 minutes of this scene, and then we would listen to it. It was also a little bit of a technical test, but it was also just like, what do you use? How do you use this prompt? Are you going to do the obvious? Are you going to think outside the box? And that told us so much. Mm-hmm. It was so helpful to see, like, okay, this person's funny. This person's great. Okay, no, this person is maybe not our vibe. This person's taking it maybe too seriously. This person's a bit too high fantasy for what we want. And we were looking for this well, I was looking, maybe, I don't know if Patrick was at the same time, but I was looking for this in a scale of Game of Thrones to Monty Python. I was looking for, like, Princess Bride. That's the vibe. I wanted to be able to tell some really heartfelt, meaningful story, but also have some silly goofiness in it. And I think that, I hope we've really encapsulated throughout. I think we have. And you can really tell the people who are kind of hitting, like, I can show a range of emotion here. I can kind of really portray what I'm trying to do. I can be silly. And with all of that, we had, like, okay, great. Whittled it down to 30 people?
30, yeah.
And then, okay, we can't all have goofballs. We can't have a table of chaos gremlins. That's ridiculous. We can't have a whole party of party mums. We can't have that either. So it was really that balance of, like, okay, this person would really vibe with this person. That person's energy would really complement that person. This person would bring this person up, and this person would steady that person out. And it was just this puzzle of, like, the four corners of the compass all kind of coming together in this table. And I was so proud. Like, Sam particularly, she had no experience whatsoever with TTRPGs.
Yeah, it was
her
basically her first
time.
game.
And I fought for her so hard because I just felt the
you didn't have to fight
right.
that hard.
I
You
was
said,
like,
Sam's
"Give
on the
me
show.
Sam."
And I said, yeah, right, correct.
And I was like, Sam or I walk away from this project.
She said this unprompted, by the way. I didn't threaten to not have Sam on the show.
But yes, and I think we had to make some tough decisions for sure.
You always do.
Yeah, but it worked. And we did the same thing this time for the new season because we knew this kind of like our sort of what the heck was it, like a diagram of like where we put people on like sort of like a scale of I can't remember the scale. What did I call it?
I think it was chaos to strategy versus proactive to reactive.
Yes.
We
And
asked
it was
people
like
to sort of
this
self-identify their
XY.
play styles, and what we try to do is we try to hit.
You did an
tables.
alignment chart. You did a political
Yes,
compass for
we
all
did a
your.
political compass for our players, and we
good.
try to hit,
Yeah.
sort of one person from each quadrant for each table for the most part. Stories that are intended to be a little bit more kind of in the never stop blowing up school, where it's just crazy nonstop. Yes, and is a little bit more reactive, chaotic. But yes, we did an alignment chart and it worked.
Yes,
Go
yes.
figure. The important thing is that people self-identified. That's the important thing.
But honestly, sometimes people will self-identify one way and you'll be like, no, son, that's not where you sit. I could tell already that's not what you are at your heart. You're just pretending. And just, that balance of people is, it's kind of like matchmaking, but in a really lovely way. And I really enjoy it.
I also think that simply the volume of process that we went through helped to suss out people who were as intentional as we were. There's a lot in the actual play space of casual transactional playtime. Some of the time, most of the time, probably that's fine, right? It's not kind of anything in either direction. Some of the time, as we've seen scandal after scandal, it can become a problem, right? We decided we didn't want to have any part of that. If we were going to do this, we were going to do this with people that we loved
and trusted as well.
In being diligent and, kind of taking our time and making sure we were picking the right people, it helped to filter people who also aligned with that as a value. And it, again, worked when we did it the second time for our season 2, where we had 400 people apply.
It was
Wow.
we then hired. Well, I say hired. We onboarded some lovely volunteers, some producers and back of house people to really help us with the second season because it was much bigger than we could really cope with alone.
Yeah.
And it paid off. I don't know how we would have done it without them. So thank you if you're listening.
Well, to come back to something you mentioned earlier that I'm super curious about because it sounds fun. How do you go about? What's your methodology for creating a mood board at the beginning of a session with your players? Do you use some
Matt loves
software?
boards.
Wait, I do love boards, but like, how do you put that together?
Listen,
Because that sounds way more fun than like a session 0 discussion where people just kind of go around and go, I want swords.
Yeah, we definitely did the mood boards before the session 0 because, oh my God, would that session 0 have not been useful if we didn't know what the hell we
so
were
it's
talking
something
about.
you did before as the dungeon master.
We also have players do it for their characters, and that helps to sort of inform. So I can talk a little bit about this, Emily, because I know you want to pitch Pinterest, and I'm here for that.
No. I was going to say we, as a production team, we
Yeah.
had a big conversation beforehand about the second season and about like what stories do we want to tell? What do we want them to feel
High-level
like?
pitches
What are
and
the
stuff, yeah.
aesthetics? And we kind of like managed to jumble around maybe like 4 kind of key aesthetics or themes that we wanted to play with, and then we kind of like went away and really. Sort of, especially
Yeah, we
Patrick,
distilled
went
sort of
away
the,
and sort of
the
like
pitch
really narrowed down.
into an idea that then sort of becomes the mood board. And the way that process is pretty consistently worked is, I'll go away. Our entire organization lives on Notion. This is the only thing that is held over from my days working in technology. I live in Notion. Notion is an absolutely incredible product. They're not paying me to say this, but they should be.
If they want to, you know where we are.
What I'll do is I'll go away, potentially for Rally, it was for about probably 3 or 4 months while we were doing the casting process. I would simply grab any image, any screenshot from a film, any song that kind of drug me in a direction, that I
Music's really
felt
important to you for mood
yes,
boarding.
yeah,
for sure.
music is really really big for me.
I'm a visual galley.
Screenshots from video games. I know that Shadow of the Colossus was already mentioned. The Legend of Zelda's sort of more recent incarnations,
Yeah.
especially Breath of the Wild, showed up really heavily on that. And in the end, it was, couple hundred, images and YouTube videos long that I handed to all the players, and I said, "This is the game I want to run. What kind of character do you want to play in it?" And I didn't really. I think the only bit of world building that I gave them was, you all exist in a logging town. That logging town harvests trees that are processed into a raw material that eventually becomes something critical for a distant empire. So I want you to think like the sort of disenfranchisement of subsistence coffee farmers or coca farmers or coal miners that are barely, they're getting this raw material out that eventually becomes something imperial once it's processed and shipped very far away from you, right? That's all I gave them, was that in the mood board. And I said, what kind of characters do you want to play? And they largely came back with, again, little, maybe a little one-line pitch, and then prompted mood boards. What do they look like? What do they feel like? Give me music if that's applicable to you. I don't think Emily had any music. It was all visual because, again, different people have different, sort of levels of things. And the densities varied. I think Cinder gave me 3 pictures, 2 of which were from a Dark Souls game. And those things, became, okay, I need to fold that into the narrative. So now I know a little bit about the world. I know the inciting action. I know what kinds of characters they want to play. How do I write a story that will make those characters critically important to the action as it sort of happens at the beginning? And so, right away, we have Craig and Sam playing the town's de facto leader and the daughter of the town's founder who has disappeared. We have Emily and Cinder playing a warden and a ceramic automaton. I told you it was Dark Souls. And a ceramic automaton sent by the Empire to protect their interests. And the story grows from that, and we start to tell the story based on this core kernel that we've come together to create that we all really viscerally feel, because we have all of those aesthetic influences. We have all of those things that help us set up the tone and the timbre and like the pacing of the thing. So it's been a really, really valuable tool. We just did it recently for season 2.
Yeah.
Exactly the same process, and I think it worked incredibly well.
I'm super interested in this pre-session 0 mood board idea. Do you have any recommendations for it if I don't want to learn a new software? Like how you would do it? Like so you put multiple types of media in there, but then like how do you disseminate it amongst your players? And any guide for putting it together?
I mean, genuinely, whatever is comfortable for you. I'm not. I have come to use Notion a little. I really don't use it that much because I have to engage with it because Patrick insists. But
I'm a tyrant. What can I say?
I mean, literally, if you want to do a PowerPoint and then do that for your players and just say, hey, here are the themes.
Or
this
Google
is
Doc.
the energy. These are the pictures. Here's some music. Or if you want to do, Google Doc and just like they can look at it and share it and maybe put things in that they're interested in and they can kind of add to it. Whatever works.
Matt, maybe your wife could tell you how to use Pinterest.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I have a Pinterest account. How dare you? No. That's great. No, sorry. Those are all great ideas. Thank you for bringing it down to my
this
level.
This
is such a cool idea.
A good idea. Because I'm a words person. I read words that are written down, and I write words that are written down. And so when I need to communicate something to somebody, I tend to put it in words. Yeah. I have found personally and professionally,
most people don't read words, Rob.
That a lot of people don't read words, and especially when I'm trying. Especially when I'm trying to get players on board for a new campaign or anything. Bless their hearts, they try, but they don't often. and I have gotten very good at like writing, very little in bullet points, but even that they don't read. So I have started to use a lot more visuals, and I really like the idea of a mood board that's like short clips and pictures and even like snippets from songs. I think again, people learn and think differently, and I think that's a great way to accommodate them. I think it's a really good idea, and I think, yeah, it also, like, a lot of the advice that we give is for people who write words, but there are lots of different ways to organize your thoughts and to, present an idea and aesthetic, and I think this is a good one.
And I think the thing to keep in mind, if there is sort of a high level piece of advice to why we use mood boards and what they're good for, and touching on echoing what you've both just said, in order to get somebody to feel like they understand something, especially something they're going to have to co-author with you, you have to get them feeling. And words can be good at that, but is a lot faster to skip it and go straight to the visual or what have
You got to be really good at words.
Yeah, you have to be a good writer. You don't actually have to be good at to find the right, like, pictures or pieces of art. Somebody else can do that. Yeah.
Right. And you don't have to be a good cinematographer to know to feel like that's a cool shot. And I think that
you just have to have good taste, or even a little bit of good taste.
100%. And that's something that I've heard echoed over and over as sort of being the kind of the defining characteristic of someone who is an artist, is someone who has good taste and can reflect that taste back at other people. And I think that while that's certainly a lens into that, and there are many definitions of what a good artist is, and I'm not going to gatekeep them, I think it's a useful one, because I think that cultivating a sense of good taste is really important for making anything that makes other people feel things.
I am comfortable gatekeeping and saying that if you want to be a good artist, you are somebody, you ought to be somebody who appreciates lots of different types of art and is capable of explaining or at least demonstrating why and reflecting that back to people. I'm happy to fall on that sword.
That's fair. I would also say as well, for mood boards, as when the few times I have DM'd, I found it useful to go back at those pictures and then go, oh, that's the vibe for this town or this place or these people that I was reaching for, and I just have that as a visual reminder of the vibes I was going for, the aesthetics. So when I'm running those sessions, I have it right there and it's easy to remember. Or
Quick
just
reference.
kind of pop up if players need another visual reminder of what something looks like or that kind of thing.
Okay, so enough feelings. What about Rob? Can we talk about numbers? I
was gonna say. I think it's time we talked about numbers.
Okay, you already gave away the game system away, which is that maybe the 5th edition of the world's most popular role playing game is not the best mechanics to try and create the vibes and the moods you're going for. How'd you deal with that? Because I feel like your advice on this is something a lot of people either midway through a campaign or just at the beginning, for whatever reason, we're sticking to this system, want to hear. So how do you create the vibes of Unbalanced Encounters of Rally in 5th edition?
I think that we did a handful of things sort of very specifically. The biggest and the most visible, and anyone who's familiar with the show will, immediately stamp their bingo cards, is that we use flashbacks like a motherfucker.
Oh, literally. I think Patrick's catchphrase was, "And we flashback."
and it started.
Like, oh no, here we go.
It started in the show. Craig's, minor spoilers for episode 1 or 2. Craig's character, mechanically a paladin, doesn't believe in magic. Magic is not a thing that the world really believes in at the time of this story. And he, in a conflict, uses lay on hands, and very sort of mechanical thing that fits the action movie aesthetic that D&D sort of usually entails. And as a GM, I'm looking for two things. I'm looking for highlighting emotional moments, and I'm looking for dripping backstory or world lore in a way that makes them feel it, right? And the way that moment happened is that as he's using lay on hands, he feels the sort of magic suffused and kind of through into this healing process. I drop him into a flashback, and it has been 3 years, so I may get this wrong, but I think that I drop him into a flashback of I can't remember if it was like the first time that he divine smited or it was the first time that he used lay on hands back when he was like a younger man, a training sort of warden of the state, right? We get that moment, and I hearken back to it in a way that recalls the backstory that he's given me, anchors him emotionally in that space, and ties the use of magic in a through line from that moment to this. And what that does is it takes the camera, and as a GM, you're the camera person, right? That's your job singularly. It takes the camera up and away from the immediate action that the mechanics describe and puts it on the feeling, puts it on the person. And for Unbalanced Encounters, when we say we talk about when we say we tell heartfelt stories, that's what we mean. We don't just mean soft, though they often are. We don't just mean cozy, though they often are. We mean they make you feel something. They tug on those heartstrings. And that moment was sort of how we created that. And we just do flashbacks again and again and again, until it's literally a meme in the show.
Sprinkle them where it makes sense.
100%.
Otherwise,
it's not the whole
just
game.
a bit much.
It's not the whole game. But over
preface.
80-something episodes, maybe there's 50 of them, 40 to 50 of them. They don't have to be long. I think that moment was 45 seconds, and it was a few beats of narration, but it completely changed the pace and the flow and the emotional attachment to the character in a way that cultivated that moment. That may not be what's right for your table, but I do think there's value in, as a GM, especially as a GM playing what is effectively a stretched out combat sim like 5e, know what emotional landscape you're trying to cultivate and be on the hunt for those moments where you can refocus the camera in or out, up or down to change the way that the scene feels. Because that shit's free. Nobody's got to roll for that.
Yeah.
You just get that for free. And your players are going to hook into it and they're going to feel invested in it. And that's probably the biggest thing that we do.
I would also say as well, just for anyone who, if it wasn't clear, we, the players, got to decide what that flashback was like. We were the ones who narrated it. Yeah. So Patrick would ask the inciting question, like, what was the first time you did this? What did that feel like? Or what was happening? Or whatever it
and
was.
If I do narrate it, it's from backstory. It's from something that they've written and given to me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good. I'm glad you add that answer because until you did, I was just imagining preparing 40 or 50.
Oh no, yeah.
Flashbacks for my campaign. No. All you have to come up with, Patrick, is the question.
Yes.
You let your players answer it. Okay, no, that's super dope.
I just asked Emily one of these, and this is going to be minor spoilers for our new campaign.
Oh yeah, he dropped this on me the other day, and I think it's fun because it's a surprise for me when it happens, and it's also a surprise for Patrick when I give him the answer that he wasn't expecting. I love it.
Emily is playing a bit of a brat in this new show, and she's got a pretty fucked relationship with her awful parents.
Again, I don't know how I managed it. Did it again? Like
you did it, not me.
One day I will have parents that loved me. Right? Just one day.
And the prompting question for that flashback was, when was the first time that you remember feeling fully invisible? And goddamn, she stuck the landing on that. But when you give your players the ability to sort of write their own stories in that way, they're going to feel like they have complete agency, and it changes the pace, and it cultivates the focus on feeling as opposed to doing.
Yeah. Love it.
This is really interesting because, well, it's interesting for lots of reasons. Thank you for clarifying. I initially was thinking of something like a Blaze in the Dark's flashback system, which is more about it's
a great system.
It's more of like an Ocean's 11 type, something I did earlier today, and not a this is a thing that happened to me in my youth or my childhood. But I'm a big proponent of stapling that onto every system anyway. And I really like the idea of making this making a flashback sort of like a fundamental part of the game, because I do think that what you described, slowing it down, and also it gives it's sort of like a targeted role-playing character development opportunity. I think that's a really good idea. I just you're right. You probably don't want to overdo it, but I think that's clever. I think that's a cool thing. Clearly, I noticed the one in the first episode or second episode, whichever one it was, but I didn't realize it was a theme. But it's a good idea. Yeah.
It was not done with intention. It was a quirk of my home GMing style that no one had ever really called me out on. And then by like episode 8, Cinder's like, "You do this a lot," and I'm like, "I guess I'm gonna continue doing this because it seems to be working."
This is how half of the innovations in game system design emerge.
Yeah,
some
somebody's
players,
home
DM
game
just starts doing something weird. And actually, it works really well.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's a really good way of being able to. So the character I played in Rally was quite a closed off character for a lot of it until there's things that happen later that open me up. So by having the flashbacks, it allowed the players and the listeners to understand why I was the way I was without the character necessarily having to break character to tell people around the campfire why I am the way I am. It was so people was like, oh yeah, she's traumatized. That's what she is. And it just helps explain, and then you can kind of see the growth as it happens throughout the thing, and it kind of everything just slots into place. And I appreciated Patrick giving us the space to do that, because I was really struggling to figure out how this character could be more open with the audience without it being a bit silly.
We also did give you a full personification of your inner child that was strictly silly to solve that problem. But that's it, like episode 8. So
you'll get to that.
I guess the second half of the numbers question is, what do you wish? Do you wish you were playing a different system, or do you wish D&D was different? Or I know you both are game designers as well, so system talk.
That's right.
Yeah, I think from a GM perspective, kind of strictly from my perspective, game systems are really good at telling the kinds of stories that they're really good at telling. And I think that 5e and its sort of clones and similars, we're playing Tales of the Valiant, Kobold Press's Tales of the Valiant in the new campaign.
Oh, nice.
Are really good at telling high magic, sort of almost superhero power fantasies. That's sort of really where they sit very, very nicely. And I think that we reached for them with Rally, in part because they were obvious, but also in part because we knew that over the whole length of the show, we did want to tell that kind of story. And similarly with the Tales of the Valiant game, of the whole length of that arc, we did want to tell that kind of story. We also know that we want to tell other kinds of stories, and so we are going to be reaching for things that fit more in the Blades in the Dark family or the Kids On family. We got to do a little bit of this in our bonus arcs, which are currently coming out to the public for the Rally ecosystem. Little 3-episode mini campaigns that were set in the same world, sometimes intersected with the sort of main story, but used a variety of different game systems. Craig actually ran the last one that we recorded called Kids on Boars, using the Kids on Bikes system, where the players, after our Rally PCs eventually leave Rally to go deal with the bigger evils of the world, the kids are left behind. Right. And we put the camera back on them for 3 episodes, and they had a little protect the town adventure. And it was, Kids on Bikes was a perfect game system for that. And so, I don't think we're super precious about like what kinds of games. I'll let Emily speak for herself, but I don't feel particular allegiance to game systems outside of I want to tell this kind of story. And the game system is great at that. I'm going to figure it out, right? I'm going to pick it up and see what it's got to offer.
I agree. I think why stick to one system and force it to fit into a thing that you want to do when there are systems that are going to be so much more elegant and interesting to tell that story. One of the issues I have, I think, with Dimension 20, I'm like, why do you keep on going back to D&D to tell the story?
We've had at least one full episode and maybe like a half where we asked that question as well. it is a point of frustration. No, we are in agreement on this. There are systems that do what you want. You don't have to keep using the same
one. You don't
one.
have to keep hacking this one to death. Just leave it alone. And also, like, from just a accessibility standpoint for me, I do not get along with D&D very well. I find it really hard to remember things. It's a bit too crunchy for me. Combat, I'm very bad at combat. God bless Patrick and his editing, because I spend I'm just like, okay, well, I can't do that. Can this do this? Am I able to do that? Can I move? And everything was theater of the mind as well. We didn't use any kind of Roll20 or anything like that for maps. And it's just, I prefer not. Like, I excel outside of combat. And
you
I think
also do combat really well. I just have to edit it down really hard.
It's because you let me fuck around. Because I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna do all these things that technically I'm not really allowed to do in D&D, but because it's the rule of cool, you're letting me do it because I'm just like, well, I want to like abseil down this thing and do this crazy thing and swing from the chandelier all in one turn. How are you going to
say no to somebody who directly uses the word abseil?
I was just about to say, what a word drop right there. Matt is the same way, and every time that I have DM'd for him, he puts me through my paces by describing the absolute like most bonkers things. I'm like, yeah, I guess you can do that, man.
I guess, man.
I know this. I have no action economy, but I want to do 5 things. So this is what's going to happen.
Let your turns go on.
Yeah.
Perks, I guess.
Yeah. So no other GM would allow me to do any of this, and I know I would really struggle in a more strict GM environment when it came to combat action economy. So it's like I hate that you can only do like one thing. If you have a bonus action, you can do that too. And then most of the time I don't. So I get really annoyed. Let me describe something badass. Leave me alone. Yes. So I get off the bus with D&D combat for sure. Yeah.
We have not spent much time with it. Well, Matt, have you? I have not yet read Tales of the Valiant.
Beta of Tales of the Valiant, if that's what you're going for. Yeah.
Is it better? Does it let you do what you want to do more, or is it just kind of the same but different?
I would say
it can be better, but still not everything that you want. I'm just,
for me, as a less of a crunchy expert TTRPG person, it's very, very akin to D&D 5e. So if you were thinking of just moving away from WotC into something that feels really familiar,
smooth transition,
TOV is great. And it's one of the reasons why we picked it for this one, because our listeners, it would make a lot of sense moving over to it because it's kind of the same. But the one thing I do really like about it is the luck system that they've put in, which it replaced the inspiration system. Patrick, do you want to say more about that? Because I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the luck system, there's a lot of little quality of life things that I think they improved in Tales of the Valiant, but a lot of it sits in the spaces that if you're a bit of a gearhead, you're going to notice. They tuned the monk a little bit. They sort of reworked the way that the Battle Master Fighter becomes the Weapon Master Fighter, and it's just a little bit of a different approach to the meat of the thing. But the core chassis, very, very similar, excepting, as Emily said, the luck mechanic. And at a high level, the luck mechanic allows you to buy successes, which I think is a tremendous amount of fun.
Yeah.
You can have up to 5 points of luck, and you spend those 1-to-1 to increase a d20 roll by 1.
Yeah. So if I needed an 18 and I rolled a 17, but I have a luck point, I can just bump it 1, which is fantastic.
The best part about the system is that you sometimes know the DC and you sometimes don't. True to D&D, right? Your GM is going to kind of play some of them above, sort of outside the screen and some of them in. We have, in our 9 or so episodes we've already recorded of Tales of the Valiant, had a number of instances where we have said, okay, you're making a death saving throw. You have 3 luck points, and this other player who's still up and has a feat that lets him do this can spend 1 on your behalf. That's a total of 4. You need a 6 or higher on the die. What is it? And that tension building, that all let us all pray at the altar of the box of doom, works really, really, really well.
Yeah.
There's also another subsystem where the management of luck is a little bit of a player thing to pay attention to. If you get a 6th luck point, it rolls back to 0, so you are encouraged to be constantly spending them.
Oh,
no
interesting.
hoarding.
Yeah. But it is for those moments alone really, really valuable.
Yeah, I've loved it. I think it's great because like the amount of times I'd maybe get an inspiration and then use it, and then it was gone for like 20 episodes, and then maybe I'd get one and then I'd hold on to it desperately, and then I'd get another one, and then I wouldn't be able to do anything with it, and it's very frustrating.
That actually reminds me of a very important thing to mention about the luck system. You do get them when your GM says, hey, you did something cool, take a luck point. But you also, very importantly, get them anytime you fail a roll.
Yes.
And that is the loop
It's so
that I
good.
think is much tighter.
This is
And
so
I
good.
fail a lot, so
This is something. This is something I'm always banging on about is encouraging, is that I like systems that encourage you to make rolls and to try things. And a big problem, in my opinion, with 5e is that it discourages you from trying. Like it actually doesn't want you to make attempts. And a lot of my favorite systems and a lot of the design tweaks that I do are about try and fail. Just everything to like move the action forward. I really like that. That I knew a little bit about Tales of the Valiant, but that even that like little tweak is just that sounds huge. That's so cool.
It is. It really changes the flow.
Yeah, I was just going to say the advantage over something like the 2d20 momentum system from some of the other games we talked about on the show is that unlike that system, I think everyone now has the full rules for the Tales of the Valiant luck system.
Yes.
Like that's
I
pretty
think
much
they're freely
it.
available.
You'd say it's essentially like 3 bullet points of rules. Everyone at the table can remember how that works.
It's really not that
nice.
complicated.
yeah, it's easy. It's nice.
And I do think that they also have several like feats that you can take at the ability score improvement levels that interface with the luck system. As I mentioned, we have the character Cinder's playing has the comrade feat, which allows him to spend luck on other people's behalf when they spend luck on themselves. And so there is a metagame that sort of evolves out of it that is really surprisingly very good for storytelling.
Yeah.
So I would say just on that bullet point alone, Tales of the Valiant sort of nudges out 5e. For me, kind of at this point. But as Emily mentioned, they're under the hood, they're very similar.
Yeah, the combat's still basically the same.
Yeah.
And so I'm still in that little bit of a stuck camp when it comes to combat, but it's fine. I'm only doing it for 12 episodes this time instead of 90. So it's not as bad.
I mean, this is looking to the future, but are you like? Would you consider a different non 5e system for
100%.
Do you have something in mind?
Yeah, so we're floating a couple of things. We have talked about Outgunned. We have talked about a Kids On hack, maybe an extant one, maybe something that we sort of designed for a show that we have in mind. We've talked about Good Society.
Yeah.
We're probably gonna pick that up.
It's been on our list to review somewhere on
It
there.
looks really good.
It looks cool.
It looks really, really fun. And I think
Perils and Princesses, I think we were talking about.
I want to
as
run a
well.
Perils and Princesses game because I think
Ryan's
it's fucking
fantastic,
great.
so.
But
I
don't know if we don't have it slated for the show yet.
We'll figure out a way of using it because I really want to use it. I think it's a great
for
system.
sure. And we're generally a pretty big fan of Powered by the Apocalypse games. We've played a little bit of
love 'em.
Magpies Rapscallion. Both Craig and I are really big fans of Monster of the Week. I really like Apocalypse World. It's a little crunchier than most other PBTA games. It's sort of the original, but I think it's really fun for Mad Max vibes. So there's some things we want to there's some things we want to grab.
Yeah. There's so many to choose from. I think now
Big
we're
slate.
going down this avenue of an anthology of kind of slightly shorter thing instead of like a 2-year-long campaign because it was unsustainable really doing it that way. This is easier from a recording, production, and sort of like just every standpoint. We have now the opportunity to really dance and try out all these different games and tell different stories and then potentially come back to them for like a part 2 if we wanted to, if they were really successful. So I can't wait to get my teeth into a million different TTRPGs. It's gonna be great.
Well, this brings me to one of my final questions, and I hope I'm not like springing it on you, but Emily specifically, but but both of you sort of are you're doing a Kickstarter. You're working on a game system of your own, the Cunning Folk. What's going on with that? What's that about?
So the Cunning Folk really was a reaction to Vesson. If you've heard of Vesson,
we love Vesson.
Yeah.
Matt is a huge fan.
I was obsessed when it came out, and I saw all the artwork and the vibes, and I was like, oh my god, I'm a monster lover, and this was just like anything to do with like really like folklore, monsters, urban legends. Give me that shit. I love it. But once I dug deep, I was like, oh, this is yet another game where you are finding the monsters, dispatching them, figuring them out, whatever it is. You're the investigators dealing with the monsters. I want to be the monsters. That's like just one game.
Monsters. Let me be the monsters. Okay.
Let me be the monsters. And that's what this game is. The Cunning Folk is you getting to be those folkloric creatures, getting revenge on mankind for however they transgressed. And it could be as, you know, the Cunning Folk, which is another word for like the Fae, and you know, they can hate you for really petty reasons. You could have just stepped on a flower of theirs and then they curse your entire bloodline, you know, or that you could have done something terrible to their most sacred place. I mean, it could be whatever you wanted. But the aim of the game is you as a group with a GM who kind of facilitates this, pick someone you hate. You will go around the table and say why you hate this person, what they did to you, why you're
Let's
upset
fuck
with
up
them.
that guy.
That guy,
Let's look at
literally.
that guy.
Elon, this.
For example.
For example, they could be called Elon. So
Perfectly normal name.
perfectly normal name. Everyone's called that, right?
Yeah.
And then you basically take these creatures. There are 5 different archetypes you can choose from, which are inspired by folklore all around the world, and you can skin them in any way you want. And you go investigate this person, find out what makes them tick, and then you use all of those things to your advantage to get the most satisfied revenge you can in the most devious or hilarious ways you can think of. And it's great. I love everything I've seen played of it. It's the most hilarious time. So if you're after a dark comedy where you get some sweet, sweet revenge and you get to be a little guy who turns into a big fucking guy, then this is the game for you. So
It's like it's not exactly inverted. It's like an upside down heist. It's like you're doing a heist, but the goal is to, you know, do all the elements and then fuck up someone's day.
Yeah,
I love that. That's such a great idea.
I would love to do like a Gremlins 2, like
literally,
Yes.
place.
Just all inspired by stuff like that.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
literally,
That's so great.
100%.
So yeah, and we came up with the mechanics. Patrick really helped me with that. His game design brain is I knew the aesthetics and I knew how to have fun with it, but Patrick helped me balance it and make it actually playable. So thank you, Patrick.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was designed for this. It uses just D6, a pool of D6s. You get more as you grow, so you have like a nice fistful when you get to higher levels, and it's 4, 5, and 6 for a success, and the GM tells you how many of those successes you need, and that's it. Job's done. But the interesting thing about it is you level up and down throughout play.
Oh,
yeah.
well, that's cool.
It's a really flexible system, and there's pros and cons to both ends of the scale of size and power, so you're having a great time regardless of what level you're at. So yeah, it's great. Go to the Kickstarter to find out more.
Link in the show notes, everybody.
Link in the show notes.
Yeah.
Cool. That sounds really exciting.
Thank you. But yeah, it's I was really excited. It came out. It's fully funded in a couple of
funded in
hours.
like 3 hours.
And that was really, really exciting and wild. And it's got another 20 odd days left. I don't know when anyone's hearing this, but it'll end at the end of March. No, we're in April. It'll end at the end of April. My brain.
You'll probably have around 3 weeks
when this episode
airs in a couple of days. Yeah.
Great.
Please go there. And I'm guessing in terms of just so people know what they're getting into, because I personally have, do I have time for a 50-page RPG, a 100-page, a 300-page, and I'm at different levels. What length of size of source book are we looking at?
It is
depending on funding, of course.
It is a
probably.
grand 32 pages. It's already written.
yeah.
It's already done.
Let's go. Yes.
There's also several of those that are either fully illustrative
Yeah,
or
okay.
mostly illustrative.
Perfect.
It's not the most hectic. Are we getting the book? We're getting the book.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's
That's perfect.
I
However
have to
many
tell you,
spoons you have for rules, you can read 32 pages.
I have to tell you how impressive it is that sorry, we've done now we've done 2 episodes on failed TTRPG Kickstarters. So it is a testament to you that you are holding a book before the campaign is even done. Good for you.
Exists.
It looks really
That's
nice.
an example. You can't see, listeners.
Beautiful.
but An example of the leveling
Right.
up and
When
down.
when Emily says 32 pages, she just held up 2 pages, one of which was a full page illustration, the other of which was half a page of illustration and probably 15 words.
It's basically a picture book.
It's a
fine.
picture book. You'll be,
be fine.
fine. The rules are, I think, 8 lines.
Great. Easy. Done. Anyway, I'll give you a copy, Rob, when I see you.
Great. I already know some people who I'm going to run this for. I can yeah.
No, I really want it, so yes.
But I can drop you a
yeah.
digital copy as well, Matt, if
Yeah.
you'd like one.
Thank you.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matt, any final questions for our lovely guests?
No, thank you for telling me about mood boards and about the
Mm-hmm.
cunning folk, and about making things cozy and cool, no matter what the system. It was a pleasure having you all on the show. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Thank you for having
so
me.
much for having us. This
Yeah.
was an absolute blast.
Listeners, these are Patrick and Emily from Unbalanced Encounters. All the links are in the show notes. Check them out. They, unlike us, are very active on social media, so you can follow them on all those places and find out more about what's happening. If you have questions or thoughts, you know where to send them. Thanks for listening, everybody, and keep rolling them dice.
Bye.
Good.